So we are right now on the Bootstrap site on the JavaScript page, and we're going to start our demonstration with a demonstration of the plugin collapse.js, which is an example of the accordion. Bootstrap is naming it Collapse, which is a nice interactive way to display tons of content on one location of your web page. So let's begin by a quick demo. So we're going to see that when we click on a link, that's going to reveal some pieces of information on each tab. So here we have the structure, so that's going to start with a div with a class of panel group, which corresponds to this entire structure right here, inside of which we have a panel, and inside of this panel we have a heading, which itself includes an anchor tag, which is clickable. And inside the anchor tag we see some elements probably new to you. So these are data attributes which are binding the HTML5 to JavaScript. This is an indication that JavaScript is working with HTML5 in order to make something happen. And in this particular case, this is going to be the collapsible action which will happen whenever we click on that link. The click event will trigger the action of collapsing the panel body to reveal the content which is included. Let's have a look at the same example we have on our template, so make sure to have the file demo_javascript HTML open in your code editor. Here we have the same markup for the collapse example, and we're going to go all the way to the bottom, so this is where the panel group is ending. We're going to break this down again to understand the structure, so here we have the panel body, which is included in another div with an ID, collapse3, which is matching another element on the top. So here we see that we have a target with the same name, collapse3. The collapse action is specified with the data attributes data toggle. Those two elements, so the anchor tag and this div with an ID of collapse3, are bound together because they have the same reference. So this is a visual demonstration of our template in the browser, demo_javascript.html, so make sure to have it open in your browser as well. Let's make a quick demo live of this collapsible panel, so here it is. So what we're going to do is create a new one. So right under collapsible group item number 3, we're going to copy this entire piece of code, and we're going to paste it right below, so right before the closing tag for the panel group. Here it is. So we're just going to make a few changes now. So we're going to change the title collapsible group item from 3 to 4. Also, we're going to replace the content that we have inside body and just write content for collapsible group item number 4. Now we're going to see the result back in the browser. We're going to reload and check this out. So we have our new panel number 4, but we're going to see what happens when we click on it. It's not really the action and the behavior that we were expecting, so we're going to check this out, why this is not working properly. And that's because we missed to precise a unique ID for these panels and also for this anchor tag. So we're going to change that from 3 to 4. Remember that we need a unique ID for each panel, so we're going to write the same now for this div. We're going to change from collapse3 to collapse4. And let's see now back in the browser what happens when we click on that last collapsible item. So perfect, so now we can see that we have our new content for the new collapsible group item number 4, so that works. So Bootstrap is doing all the heavy lifting with JavaScript. So now that we've covered the JavaScript component, we're going to see how we can do a little bit of styling. Meaning that instead of having this light gray, we can certainly use some variations. So for that, we're going to go back to the Bootstrap site, and we're going to jump to the CSS page just for this demonstration. And we're going to go to a section which is pretty familiar, so this is for the style button. So here we can see that we have different variations that we can use also for the panel heading. So we're going to change default to warning. And we're going to do the same for each of them. Each panel heading, we're going to replace from panel default to panel warning. We're going to save this, and then when we're done, we're going to go back to our browser. So here we go. So now after reloading, we have a nice looking panel heading. So you can feel free to go back to the Bootstrap documentation and see the different looks that you can apply to your panel heading. Back to the JavaScript page, there is some components about the usage that I'd like to cover. The Collapse plugin comes with classes in order to make either some content hides by default or shows by default. And the first one is Collapse, which is going to make the content hide by default. And you have a second option that requires to use two classes, Collapse and In order to show the content by default. So we're going to see that in action. On the first panel, so in our template, we see that we have two classes, Collapse and In, meaning that this first panel will be open by default whenever you open this page. So what we're going to do right now is, for a demonstration, is to remove this class In, and back in our browser, we're going to check out what happens now. So here it is. So now that we've removed the class In on the first panel, all the panels are collapsed by default. And let's do another demonstration now with the same class In. We're going to place this one in the second panel, so right below, number 2. Let's see the result now in the browser. So here it is. So now we can see that the collapsible group item number 2 is collapsing by default. What I'm going to show you now is the second example of the collapse feature. And for the markup, this is divided into parts. So the clickable trigger is a button. Inside this element, we have the same information. So we have the data toggle that informs that this is a collapse action. Plus, we have a target which is specified by using the data attribute data target. So this is demo, which is binding to another div with an ID of demo. Right below, we have our div with an ID of demo, and this is the second part of our markup. And here we're going to place some content. So let's copy that, and we're going to paste it in our template. We're going to place it at the end after the div which is closing the panel group. So where we can read accordion ends here, you're going to paste this second example here. Also, we're going to add some content with some lorem ipsum in order to better showcase this demonstration. And I'm going to change the style of this button from danger to warning in order to have a nice yellow button. So let's see that now in action. So by reloading the page, so here it is, we have our button and we can see already the text which is revealed. We're going to click in order to collapse. It's hiding and then it's back again when you click on the button. Something you've probably noticed is that this text was already showing when we reloaded the page, and that's because we had the class of In inside the markup, so we're going to remove it and see what happens when it's gone. Here we go. So after reloading the page, so now the text is not showing by default, so now in order to reveal the content, we'll need to click on that content, and we're going to change the text, the label, to click to show content in order to prompt the user to click on that button. Here we go. So now we're going to click on that button in order to show the content, and now we're going to click back to hide.